This is a week 2 mental health check-in, and I'm just gonna share my 2 cents with you guys for this video. As I mentioned in the previous video that is like this, I'm more or less doing these videos for my personal journey, being able to look back and kind of see like my mental thoughts. It's more or less like a diary / journal video. And we are back in Seattle. So I lived in Seattle for 3 years before I started traveling full time. And then we've been traveling full time for 2 years. And now we are back in Seattle. It's actually crazy because the day that we got back to Seattle was the exact day that we moved out of our apartment 2 years ago. Honestly, coming back, I was really excited to come back. You know, like we actually have friends here. That's where we're staying. Our friends are so amazing to let us crash on their floor. This is our bed folded up in the living room floor. So it's been good to be able to actually see people that we know, but I wasn't sure how I was going to react coming back. Our next step is that we really actually want to get a place, whether we like buy a place or rent a place, but we really want to try to have a home base and then continue to travel, but you know, take a month or whatever and not feel guilty about having a place that we're paying rent to live. So the ultimate goal is obviously to make enough money to be able to have a home base, come back, and then also be able to travel and go wherever we want when we want. Clearly that's the dream for everybody, but that's what we're really striving for, because once you have full-time travel, there's not really going back to like a normal life. And I think that's something that I'm really noticing, is the way that I think about making money and the way that I kind of see the world is very different than it was when I first left. And being back in Seattle specifically, it's been a little bit of a wild ride trying to figure out and navigate that mentally. We left for 2 years. We gained a lot of experience and knowledge and just lived a very different life than most people. And then coming back, especially in Seattle, I feel like it's a very 9-to-5 mentality. And you know, there's really good tech jobs here. And majority of the people that we know make a really good income for people that are our age. And so it's very interesting to come back to a mentality that is that, when I feel like we're just very different than that at this point. And not to say that that's bad by any means. Like low-key, I wish I had a job that paid me 120 grand, you know, like that would be the dream right now. But I also think that getting like a regular job would not fix my problems. Like I want to be fulfilled from what I'm doing. In my head, it has to be the money and then also the life fulfillment. Like it can't be out of balance, or otherwise I'm just not gonna be fulfilled or satisfied from a very personal standpoint. And being back in Seattle, I feel honestly a little weird. I didn't expect to have this hard of a time kind of transitioning, and we've only been back for like 2 days, so it's not like it's a huge thing, but I didn't realize how hard it was gonna be to transition back into like this life. I don't know. And then it's just like questioning, like, do I actually want to live here? Like, is this the place that I want to consider home? Because when we lived here, that was the first time I had ever felt like I had a home. I grew up in the same exact house my entire life, from 2 years old to graduating high school. And then I went to college, and you obviously know that that is not permanent, that's a temporary thing. And then getting here was like the first time where it's like, hypothetically, I could stay here for a really long time. And so we really made it feel like home. And it was the first time I felt like I actually had a home base. And it felt good, to be honest. But then we go travel, and now I'm like, I don't know what feels like home. I'm not a political person, but it's like, I don't know if I want to have to deal with American politics. I don't know if I want to have to deal with anti-LGBTQ laws. Do I want to live in an environment like that? And granted, I live in Washington, which is a very progressive state, and I'm so thankful that this is where I'm naturally from, and this is where I could potentially call home, because at the end of the day, it is a significantly more progressive state than anywhere else. But it's just like something to think about. It's like, do I even want to live in the US? But families here, owning a business in the US is more beneficial. Owning a business in Washington specifically has its own benefits to it. All these things are questions that I'm asking myself. And honestly, I just don't know. And to be very real and raw, is I am so unsure about life right now. Coming back is way harder than I thought it was gonna be. We have a house sit for the next 1.5 months, and so we're here guaranteed for 1.5 months, and I think that's a good amount of time to kind of transition back and actually figure out what we want to do next. But the weather is not my jam. It's just being like cold and rainy. I literally went out to get coffee this morning in my slides. I thought my toes were gonna fall off. That was a bad mistake. But you know, it's like, don't like having to freaking put so much clothes on to be warm. I want to be somewhere warm. And also just like, we're happier people when we're near the beach. I don't know what that entails. I don't know if that means we're gonna move near the beach, but all I know is that when both of us are near the beach, we are genuinely better people to each other. We have better mindsets. But yeah, like, I'm just not sure. I think it's also okay that we don't know. I don't know. What are your thoughts?